what's up everyone? It's Invest Diva and your coach, Kiana Danielle. Welcome to Diva on the Block, where we take you to the back streets of this whole blockchain, Bitcoin, and crypto shenanigans to help you get a better understanding of what really is going on and how you can take advantage of it. Today, I'm ultra excited to have Dr. Mark van Rijmenam, a speaker on artificial intelligence, blockchain, and analytics, and he is the founder of Datafloq. Dr. Mark is a big data and blockchain strategist and author of the best-selling book, Think Bigger, Developing a Successful Big Data Strategy for Your Business. Today, we're going to talk about the connections between blockchain, cryptocurrency, and the hot topic of the tech world, big data. We're going to also talk about if Bitcoin is a scam, his thoughts on Cloudera, a big data company a lot of our premium investment group, also known as the PIG members, have heard me talk about a lot in the past few years. How scary is the future of humanity considering how fast artificial intelligence is taking over? So, as you can imagine, I had so much fun chatting with Dr. Mark, and I hope you love it. Let's rock it. I'm super excited to have Dr. Mark van Rijmenam. I'm hoping I didn't butcher your last name. He's a speaker on AI, blockchain, and analytics, and is a founder of Datafloq. He is a highly sought-after international public speaker, a big data and blockchain strategist, and author of the best-selling book, Think Bigger. You know how crazy I am about big data, so I'm so excited to pick your brain on that. He's developing a successful big data strategy for your business. Basically, that is what Think Bigger does, apparently. I can't wait to learn more about that. He's a co-author of another book, Blockchain Transforming Your Business and Our World, which details how blockchain can be used for social good. His third book, The Organization of Tomorrow, we published in 2019. He's named a global top 10 big data influencer and one of the most influential blockchain people. Welcome, Mark, Dr. Mark, to our show. So
thank you very much, Kiana.
I mean, this is just really cool. Like, your background is so awesome, and it's a little bit intimidating. So we want to de-intimidize, basically, your background and see what exactly it is that you're doing. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you came from, and how did you get involved?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Kiana. It's great to be part of your show and to share, my knowledge about the blockchain with your audience. I'm really happy to be here. And I'm the founder of Datafloq. Datafloq is a content platform around emerging technology where we help people understand what big data is, what blockchain is, what AI is, really from a strategic perspective, how you can use these technologies. I've completed my PhD a couple of months ago in Sydney, Australia, where I did research on how these technologies are actually influencing organizations. So that brings it all together. And with my books and my keynotes all around the world, I try to help and inspire people on what these technologies are and how you can use them.
All right, like you're already aligned on the part that we want to help and educate people about all this. And by the way, my husband is from Australia, so we kind of
very good.
How did you like Australia?
I loved it. It's my girlfriend is from Australia, so it's a great place to be in and to live, and I really enjoyed it there.
So that's interesting. I didn't know big data is big in Australia.
It's not.
It's not.
Well, I just wanted to live in Australia, and I got the opportunity to do a PhD there. So I thought, let's grab the chance and explore how it is to live in Australia.
That's amazing. So tell us about a little bit what your vision is about where blockchain is today and how it connects to big data. I mean, actually, let's start with big data first. Can you explain to our audience what exactly is this big data thing that everybody talks about?
Well, yeah, big data. What is big data? Big data is, it's been around for quite some time now. And my first book, Think Bigger, was published, I think, 5 or 6 years ago now. Basically it means, we have so much data now because everything that we do, every technology that we develop, everything creates data. And then you can use that data to get a better understanding of whatever is going on. And I fundamentally believe that every organization is a data organization. And if you have that perspective, it changes how you look at your organization, and it changes how you can run and manage your organization, which is basically the title of my new book coming up. Big data, it's called big data because we have so much of it, in structured and unstructured forms. And when you start to combine and mix and match internal, external data, you get a better understanding of your environment. You can see, better understand the changes in your environment, what's going on and what's happening. And that's what what you see happening with a lot of organizations now is that they understand that they need to store this data, they need to analyze this data, and they need to combine these different data sets to be able to know what is going on in their environment. Because the world is changing faster than ever before, and for organizations it's difficult to keep up. And with data, they can sort of find the patterns and understand these changes, and then take action accordingly.
Right. So, I mean, what I always tell my students is that, every company or every organization is only as valuable as the amount of data that they own and they process. Because, for example, let's say Skype, at the time when they invented the technology wasn't that, massive technology. Anybody could just copy it and make it fine. But it was the data that they had that made them Skype. And it so goes with Facebook and Google, and these are the owners of data. So now what is very interesting for me is how you're connecting blockchain and data. And so, of course, blockchain is a ledger that can hold all the data in a secure manner. So let's talk about the role of the internet now that blockchain is around. How will things change eventually, in your opinion?
That's a very good question. I think blockchain is a fundamental technology for me. Blockchain or distributed ledger technology, whatever you want to call it. But for me, it's a fundamental technology that allows us to do things differently, to fix the problems that we have with the internet. And because all of a sudden we have this database, which is instead of being read, write, and edit, it's only read and write. And you create this data which is completely immutable, and it becomes verifiable and traceable, or whatever has happened. And if you have that, it all of a sudden changes the game, because you can create this peer-to-peer interactions and on all different fronts. And as Sir Tim Berners-Lee already said, I think in 2016, the internet was meant to be a decentralized web where everyone had their own data and you connected with each other, but you were still remain in control. You didn't have these centralized parties that we have right now. And I think that is the opportunity of blockchain to bring back his vision of a completely decentralized web or internet where we can have full control of what we do, and we connect with each other on the basis of direct peer-to-peer interactions, instead of having these massive intermediaries such as Facebook or a bank or whatever take over and control our data, and with that partially our lives as well.
Speaking of Facebook, what do you think about Facebook creating its own cryptocurrency?
Yeah, no, I'm interested to see what's going to happen. They have big partners behind them, which I'm not surprised about that because they have a big customer base. So, but is it really decentralized? It remains to be seen. I don't know yet. There's not enough information out there to give a good answer on that. So I have to wait a bit longer. But it is, they have the power. They have the mass.
They have the data.
They have the data. But if it's really a decentralized cryptocurrency, we'll have to see.
And what's your thoughts on cryptocurrency in general, in Bitcoin?
Well, I think cryptocurrency is a brilliant invention. It's a fantastic invention where you the possibility to transact value instantly across the world without having to rely on multiple banks in this case. And if you want to send $100 million from Australia to America, you can do so literally in a few seconds. Try that with a bank, it's impossible.
And try that with all the commission fees that you have to spend.
Yeah.
Right. It's very interesting. I wanted to have you on the show because there are so many in my audience of my people who've been following you for such a long time, who, when I came up with my book, Cryptocurrency Investing for Dummies, they didn't even get the free book. I'm like, why didn't you get it? They're like, oh, crypto is a scam. So
Yeah,
what
yeah.
would you tell to people who still think this whole crypto and blockchain is a scam? Is it a scam in your opinion?
Some cryptocurrencies and some blockchain startups are indeed a scam, and that's a shame. But I think that's we've seen it with the internet hype. You had scams back in those days as well. Blockchain is definitely not a scam. It's just a database technology. It's just MySQL, but done differently. And it is the way how you use that technology that can drive the application. And cryptocurrencies are just one application of blockchain technology. And it is how you develop that application, whether it's a scam or not. And I think that's the difference. And people, it's difficult for people to understand what blockchain is. I did my PhD on among others blockchain, and it took me quite a while to fully grasp it. And I did it for for a couple of years full time. So can you imagine if you read an article once or twice a month about it? It's very difficult to grasp the technology.
Right.
But then
So
again,
I think the same goes with the internet though. Like you can't, like a normal person wouldn't understand how the internet works, but you can use it, and you can use it for scams, and you can use it for good as well. So I think the same goes with blockchain and cryptocurrency. So I did want to kind of shift a little bit. So because you are known in big data and you have so much knowledge about it, so it's not about cryptocurrency. It's about a specific company called Cloudera. Are you aware of them? Okay. So they're one of my favorite big data company of all time. A lot of people misunderstand them because the name is Cloudera. They think they're a cloud company, whereas they are actually a big data infrastructure company. I think did I mention it right? And they're not doing very well recently. So do you know what they're doing? Are you a fan? What do you think about what they're doing? What can they do better in order to perform better?
Well, I've heard about them, and I know them by name. I haven't followed them for the past 2 or 3 years, so I would not be able to give you a detailed answer on what my opinion is of how they are doing.
No, that's great. So who's your favorite big data company? Let's put it that way then. Or you're not very much in the investment part. So we should have talked about this before.
Who is my favorite big data company? I think as an organization, those organizations that allow other companies to benefit from their big data, I think those are the ones who are really interesting. Whether you are focusing on the Internet of Things, whether you're focusing on infrastructure, whether you're focusing on cloud, it doesn't really matter. As long as you enable organizations to start using that data and to start benefiting from it. Because the large companies of these worlds, the Walmarts of these worlds, they can build their own infrastructure. They can build their own big data departments with thousands of people in it. But the average company, with a couple of hundred or a couple of dozen employees in there, they can't do that. But they need this information as well. So I think those organizations that empower those organizations, the smaller organizations, to also benefit from big data, while leaving them, those companies in control of their own data. I think those are the companies who have the most potential for the future. Because not everyone can be a Walmart, and you need to have but everyone needs to benefit from data.
At the beginning of today's show, you were talking about the impact of big data on the environment. Is that the environment, like the world that we live in environment? What environment we were talking about, and how?
Yeah. So what I meant is the use data to understand your environment as your organization. So your customers, your competitors,
not necessarily global warming.
No,
for a second, I was like, "What am I missing?"
Could be, but more focused on the environment of the organization. So your suppliers, your customers, your competitors, your employees. What are the trends going on among those stakeholders, and can you benefit from those stakeholders?
So one last thing that we didn't get to touch on yet. So your other specialty is on artificial intelligence, AI. So you're basically in the hottest topics ever. Like you brought everything together. How can artificial intelligence be applied to blockchain?
It's an interesting angle, I think, where blockchain and AI can merge. Both technologies have some features which can be beneficial to each other. And I think one of the things, if we have a fully decentralized society, which unfortunately is still quite far away, but then you have this full provenance of data, which can be very beneficial to AI. More importantly, with blockchain, you need high quality data because once the data is on the blockchain, that it's there indefinitely. So you better make sure that the data is of high quality and ideally also unbiased data. And these are all characteristics that you also need for AI. So I think the potential of benefiting those two together can be very useful. And actually, I saw an interesting keynote this afternoon about David Birch. Maybe you've heard of him. Where he was saying that do you see the integration between blockchain and AI is where AI starts to make your smart contracts, because humans are inherently making mistakes into the smart contract. We've seen that with the DAO, and we see it all happening all the time with software. Software contains bugs, but if you have a smart contract on the blockchain, you don't want to have a bug, and AI might be better at making those smart contracts, writing code, which we already see happening, that AI is getting better at writing code. So then maybe AI can start writing the smart contracts for humans to prevent us from having bugged smart contracts. So I think there's several ways where blockchain and AI can definitely benefit from each other.
So doesn't that make, the worst fear of humanity is that robots take over. So right now you were talking, I was just imagining, okay, so we have this distributed ledger, peer-to-peer, and all the peers are basically robots without any centralized human organization monitoring them. Wouldn't that give a lot of power to the machines?
Well, I think yes. If it turns out to be that way, yes. But I don't think it will end up that way. I think humans will always be involved in building companies and also building the AI. But it is a fact, that I believe that AI will cost a lot of jobs, in
they
all
already
kinds of
are.
industries.
AI
They already are, and it will also create a lot of new jobs. But it will have a massive impact on society, and it is up to us to develop the policies and the regulations to make sure that happens in the right way. Because if you don't, as a country, I think you have a big problem. So I don't think we'll be ruled by robots anytime soon, but it is true that robots will have a bigger place in our society in the years to come.
And which country do you think, from all the countries you've been to, is more advanced when it comes to AI, blockchain, and big data?
Well, I think you have these couple of economic powers in the world. You have America on the one hand, you have China on the other hand, you have Europe being there, you have Russia. Well, those are sort of the main powers, and obviously America and China are leading the pack at the moment. I think Europe could do a lot better, but you see that, especially with it in terms of AI, America and China are really far ahead compared to everyone else. And they have two different approaches, because America and even more in Europe, we value our privacy a lot more than in China. So the amount of data that we have is a lot, but not as much as it is in China, because in China, data is collected at literally every point in your life, almost. And I was in China a couple of weeks ago, and I've never seen so many cameras on the streets, on every corner of the street, and so they really have moved from online to offline, and really merging those two. So they have a lot more data than we do, or America does. So you see that China is really catching up and has the potential to overtake other countries in the next years when it comes to AI development.
So that's kind of an irony, right? Because the whole point of, blockchain at least, is to get rid of the centralized organizations. And China is using big data and blockchain in order to become the centralized organization that owns all the data. So it's a little bit ironic, and it's a little bit scary, of course, on how they can go about using the data that they have. So let's actually, I would like to ask you one question that I ask each and every one of our guests. You don't have to answer. And we didn't really talk about cryptocurrencies, but I mean, because, cryptocurrency is kind of my niche where we invest in. Do you have a favorite crypto that you personally invest in or you would like to invest?
I don't have a particular favorite cryptocurrency. I invest in I would say like the top 10, top 15 of the market cap at the moment. It's all very young. We're very early stage, and I've written an article a couple of years ago already that I don't believe in Bitcoin, for example. And I believe Bitcoin will fail. I see Bitcoin sort of as a MySpace of cryptocurrencies. It's a great invention and it opened the market, but I think at some point we'll have something else coming. Which cryptocurrency that will be, I don't know yet. The Facebook of cryptocurrencies I haven't seen yet.
That used to be, it's funny because that used to be my thought for the longest time. I was one of the biggest skeptics of Bitcoin when it first started. And then I was like, Bitcoin is literally MySpace. Somebody else is going to take over. But now, I don't know, I'm starting to feel like Bitcoin is kind of, I don't know, taking off again. They have the Lightning and like a lot of new technologies actually developed that, I don't know, with the branding. We'll see. Maybe they'll learn from MySpace and wouldn't make the same.
Maybe, it is possible that I'm wrong, and if they manage to fix the flaws in the coin, I think it has a chance, but will they have the chance?
The name of it, of course, because it has the best, the biggest brand name basically when it comes to crypto. Yeah. So it's basically the technology aspect. But I really wanted to take a PhDs look at which crypto you like the most. So you only go by market cap. That's cool. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was very interesting learning all about big data, blockchain, AI, and how everything really interconnects and how the future is bright for all these three industries.
I think so. I think when these technologies converge, by itself they are really, really interesting technologies. But when they converge, I think fascinating stuff can happen, and a lot of new companies, applications can be developed. And that's also what my new book is about, The Organization of Tomorrow, of how these technologies converge and what that will mean for society and for your business. I think we live in fascinating times, and I'm excited to be part of it.
So where can people find your book? We're going to actually show a graphic of your book up here, but where can we get our hands on your book?
Yeah, the book, The Organization of Tomorrow, will be available on all the big bookstores as of mid-July. So I'll have to wait a little bit longer, but it's almost there, and then it will be available on all the major online bookstores.
And Amazon as well, I'm guessing?
Of course, yes, of course.
And how can people get in touch with you if they have any kind of connections? So Datafloq, how exactly can people, is it for just ordinary people to go in, or you're more business to business kind of service?
People can contact me if they have any questions. I'm always happy to help people. I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm very easy to find online. So just don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions, and then we can take it from there.
All right, we'll make sure to give you a shout out on social media then. Thank you so much, Dr. Mark van Rijmenam. I hope I pronounced it correctly. And thank you, the viewers, for joining us today. We'll catch you again with another Diva on the Block. We're kind of debating whether to go with a professional headshot for the thumbnail or a funny face. So could you please make it funny?
I only have one professional image that I use all over the internet.
Okay.
So it has to be that one.
Oh, okay. So you don't want to go with a funny face?
No, sorry.